to the Bridging the Generation podcast. I'm your host, Malak Arif, and today I got another special treat for y'all. My next guest, straight out of New York City, one-third member of one of my favorite 90s R&B groups known for the hits Come Inside, Let Me Be the One, Feels Like the First Time, Ribbon in the Sky. Funny how time flies. I mean, the list goes on. 90s R&B classics, since the untimely passing of group member and founder Kenny Greene back in 2001. This brother and his partner has been carrying on the legacy of this group, and they have been doing a very, very great job of that. So with all that said, it's an honor and it's a pleasure to introduce to the BTG podcast the one, the only, Mr. Clinton Buddy Wike of Intro. Let's go. What's going on, man? Let's get right into it, man. It's good to see you, man. How have you been maintaining with this whole entire COVID-19 situation, man?
It's been I don't even know what to call it, man. It's just been like life altering, life changing. Prior to the whole thing kicking off, we had started filming a documentary about a year and a half ago. So through it, it's like the work couldn't stop. So just trying to be safe and continue working at the same time has been really a challenge. But at the same time, it kind of slowed us down and had us in place to do what we had to do. But yeah, man, I'm just basically just trying to stay alive like the Bee Gees and stay healthy and keep my mask on wherever, Yeah, man, it's definitely just like a new world, new life, everything. It's just like.
Well, hey, brother, whatever you're doing is working, man. Because you don't look like a day over.
I got mad
5 years younger. You look like you about 10 years younger than you are. I ain't gonna put your name, your age out there, but you look good, brother.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No doubt, man. So
how you been making out, man? How you
man? It's 2020. It was some challenges, man. But when you look back 2020 hindsight, man, it made you stronger when you think of the adversity, that we had to go through. So
true that.
Yeah, no doubt. It just make you think, pray for the little, be thankful for the little things.
That's it, man. I'm telling you.
That's all you can do. So look, man. Hey, look. I got Buddy Wike from Intro, one of my favorite 90s R&B groups, period, point blank, period. So let's go to the beginning, brother. I want to know, man, like, where exactly are you from originally?
Born in Brooklyn, New York, raised in Brooklyn, New York. Left Brooklyn when I was 18 to join the military. And born and raised, just Brooklyn head.
Okay. Yeah. So growing up, what was some of your influences musically?
Musically, originally, I started off playing the piano in the church. So a lot of my original influences were like the gospel acts, like the Hawkins Family. Then when I started sneaking R&B into the house, I started listening to like Diana Ross, Lionel Richie, like Endless Love was like the first R&B record I snuck in the house. And then came along The Barge. And from there, I just started grabbing everything that I could get my hands on. James Ingram, Anita Baker, on to Layla Hathaway, then into the R&B groups, the New Edition, the Guys. And all of those were like my influences is coming up in music.
Okay.
And my father was a musician, so I kind of just was watching what he was doing he was a gospel musician. So just watching him play in the church and stuff, you know, I just took on the music, and I just never let just just became like something I love to do. It became my sport.
No doubt, no doubt. So I hear you telling me about that you played instruments at one time. I'm not saying that you don't play instruments, but your introduction into music was through
Yeah,
instruments.
yeah.
So when did you realize like I'm a pretty good singer? Like
Oh man, it was even after the album came, after the album dropped, that I started considering myself to be a singer, because my role in intro was the producer. Like I was supposed to be like this, the whole like the whole formula was I was the producer, I would do the music, Kenny would write the songs and be the singer, and Jeff would be like the choreographer to teach us how to dance, and that was our formula.
Right.
Going into the album, they started bringing us bring me into the studio, and I was like, "Yo, no, you gotta sing on this record. You gotta sing some background on it." I was like, I gotta do what? So that's when I really started getting into singing. And Kenny was so patient with me. He would tell me, "Yo, do it like this, do that, do this, do that." And we spent a lot of time rehearsing.
Yeah.
And just from working and learning from him, and I just now I love to sing, But singing wasn't really all my thing. I really wanted to being from Brooklyn, of course. I wanted to be a producer and a rapper.
No doubt.
And that was my vision of, if I was ever in the music business, I thought I would be a producer and a rapper. I never, in my wildest dream, thought I would be a part of a rhythm and blues group. Yeah.
So speaking of rapping, man, who were some of your influences as far as hip hop?
Oh, I was in the dope rap group with J. Rue the Damager.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, me and J. Rue used to go to my church. Me and him we had our rap group. It was called GBC, the Get Busy Crew. The name of the church was the Grace Baptist Church, GBC. Right. So we took the initials and made it the Get Busy Crew. And we never did shows or nothing like that, but we had some really good songs. Rapping in my neighborhood, the Fat Boys, rest in peace, Marky D, Buff. They grew up in East New York. That's the part of Brooklyn I'm from. They influenced me.
East New York, Jesus Christ!
I was from the East, man. Miller Avenue. They call it Killer Miller.
Killer Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always tell people, man, the most thoroughest parts of New York, man, is Brooklyn, and it's East New York, and it's Brownsville, man. Like,
East New York.
I don't want to say thorough, but I'll thorough amongst some other things. Interesting people, man.
You should know somebody that lives there if you're coming in the neighborhood. You should know somebody that lives there.
That would be some good advice.
It would be highly recommended.
Yeah. Highly recommended.
Yeah, and I didn't grow. I'm not going to sound like a thug. I didn't really grow up in the streets and stuff. I kind of grew up somewhat protected. My father being like a Baptist minister and a church musician, so I spent a lot of time at church and playing piano in the choir, and to school playing baseball, and swimming team, and they always try to keep me active and keeping me occupied to where I wouldn't be consumed by the streets and stuff. So yeah, I can't say I lived like a tough street type of life, because I really didn't. I'm not gonna front.
Right. Ain't nothing wrong with that, man. Hey, look, that's not why you on here, man. You on here, man, because of your contribution to one of the most unsung, underrated groups in the 90s, man. So look, I want to take it back. You just said that you didn't realize that you could sing until after that first album.
Dude.
But so you telling me when you guys recorded, like, because that is you guys on Next to You with Father MC, or is that just Kenny?
That's me on there too. I'm singing on Next to You. Like everything that you hear from the intro, I'm there. But prior to all of that stuff, I wasn't doing it. Like on our demos, I started singing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Once we said we was going to do R&B, but prior to intro being an R&B group,
right?
We were a rap group. Then we turned into a house music group and put out a single house music, and then the opportunity presented itself for us to be an R&B group. So then we transformed into an R&B group. If country music if a country music opportunity had presented itself to us,
No.
just being musicians, then we might have been
Wow.
a country music group. Come Inside might have been like, if you
Yeah.
let me, like that. So,
Oh my goodness.
yeah.
Hold on.
It
Man,
was,
I laughed
it
so
was,
hard I knocked the lights, man. I'm not even gonna
it's
edit.
all good. I still see you, brother. It,
I'm not
it,
e-
it,
I'm
it,
not
it
even
was,
gonna edit that. I'm
yeah,
not
it was learn for me. It was learn as you go, man. Kenny Greene was a vocal beast, man. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it was like learn as you go. Okay,
Right,
go
right.
into the booth, you're gonna sing the melody line. I just wanna get close to
Close to
you. I've been gone for time. Not like that beat, singing like this. I've been gone for such a long
That's
time.
my
And I was like,
joint
all right,
right
man, let me
there.
do it again. And no matter how many takes it might take, he never got frustrated with me, and we just stayed in there. Then boom, on to the
Right.
next song. Before we go into the studio, we rehearse it out. Like, okay, when you go in, this is what you're gonna do. And I'm like, all right, let's do it, man. And
Yeah.
it became fun, and just definitely like a learning experience. And at over time, I just started loving it. I was like, oh, this is great. I like it.
That's one thing I could tell, man, because one thing about you guys, sound, man, you guys have a very distinct sound. Like those background vocals, I could
Mm-hmm.
tell those background vocals from you know, like any group that was out around that time, like on Funny How Times Flies, like
Okay.
the way y'all hit that joint with the bridge, like, and let the time keep on slipping.
And
Like
thank
I
you.
could go like what I'm trying to say is, man, your sound was very unique.
Yeah. What we did, and I think we brought to the game for 90s music is we tried to spend as much time on the music. We tried
Right.
to spend as much time doing our vocals as the producers would do on the music. We spent a
No
lot of
doubt.
time with vocal production, and we always tried to make it entertaining and fun, adding different types of notes and chords to our vocals, like jazz chords,
Right.
stuff that we would learn from like Commission and Take Six.
Okay.
I think that's what kind of separated us from like not separated us, but kind of gave us our niche in the R&B market in the early '90s. Yep.
No doubt. So look, you just
Mhm.
you mentioned how Kenny used to direct you, and he was a big influence on you guys, as far as your sound and everything. Take me back. You met when did you meet Kenny?
I met Kenny in the Army. We were stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I had a friend named Ken Thomas. And he said, "Yeah, I got a friend named Kenny Greene, and he knows how to sing." I told him that you know how to play the piano. I think you guys should get together and see what you can come up with. So it was on a Friday evening. He told me I would meet Kenny. So I met Kenny. And then Kenny said, well, on Sunday, we're going to go to the recreation center because they have a piano there.
Right.
Went over to the recreation center. And that one day turned into like the rest of the years. We just kept doing it and doing it.
Right.
Yeah, man. But yeah,
Man,
he
so
was in
when
the
you when
Army.
you when you first heard Kenny's voice, man, what was your like? How taken aback were you?
I knew it was great, but I didn't know how great it was at the time because this was still a time when I really wasn't immersed in R&B music. I thought it was everybody sung like that. I knew it was good, but I didn't think it.
Yeah.
I thought like because being that I didn't know about
Right.
a lot of singers, I thought that everybody sounds. This is what an R&B singer sounds like. And then
Right.
over
Right.
time, I was like, wait a minute, this dude, he got the same type of tone as like a Layla Hathaway or somebody
Yeah.
like that, and I wasn't hearing it all around.
Yeah.
Then I was just like, if I want to learn how to sing, like if I want to learn to sing like somebody, I want to learn to sing like dude right here. Because
Right.
prior to that, I was listening to James Ingram, Anita Baker, and I was tailoring what little bit of singing I was doing
Right.
to their voices. But
Mm.
then when I met Kenny, I was like, I want to learn how to sing like this dude right here. He basically became my vocal coach, my vocal,
Right.
yeah, man. Rest in peace, man. I miss that brother so much, man. It's not a day go by. You know what I'm saying? Shout
So
out to
when
his family too.
Yeah, no doubt, man. So I always said, like, you just mentioned his voice, man. To me, he
Yeah.
was not just a vocalist, man, but he had style and personality with his voice, man.
Mm-hmm.
That I felt that it really stood out from a lot of the great singers of that time, man. And it's a shame because when I go back and listen to those projects, man, they so consistent, man.
He listened. His voice reflected his life, man. He's a really good dude, and his character came out like in his vocals. And it was nothing but a gift from God, man. The stuff
Mm-hmm.
that he could do, like we do a track, and within 30 minutes, you know, if we was rushing, it would just be written. It got to the point where he was like, "Yo, buddy, man, come over here. Come on, you gotta get this pen.
Right.
You gotta get some writing on this album and stuff." Because at the time, I wasn't thinking about, oh, you gotta have publishing, you gotta do this,
Right.
and that. And I remember one day we were at the Bell Hodges house, and we was actually doing the record "Come Inside."
Okay. And, now that's you guys producer.
Yeah.
On the first project. How did you guys meet him?
Through Eddie F. Because he was one of the producers on the Untouchables. The Untouchables team was DJ Eddie F, Dave Hall, Lavelle Hodge, Kenny Smooth, Spunk Bigger, Darren Whittington. They had like a whole team of producers that was working with everybody from Mary J. Blige to Madonna, Mariah Carey, like, you know, and we turned out to be their R&B group, so we had access to like all the dope producers. Yeah.
That's crazy. So how was it like when you guys? How did you guys end up meeting Eddie F and the Untouchables? How did that come to play?
After rehearsal one night, we was rehearsing at Jeff's house, and Jeff knew about a party at this place called the Red Zone that Puff Daddy was giving.
Okay.
And we got in the car, drove out there, and on the way out, we were singing a song called "Peaceful Journey" that was on the Heavy D's album. And Jodeci was singing the backgrounds.
Yeah.
So we used their vocals as rehearsal on that particular day. Yo, mama, wish you a peaceful journey, but I hope you.
Right.
And we did the 3-part harmonies, and we got to the club. We saw Heavy there. We was like, oh shit, we were just singing a song on the way out here.
Right.
It was like, oh, what song? It was like Peaceful Journey. He's like, let me hear it. It was like, you gonna step over here where it's quiet? He's like, nah, sing right here. And we sang it to him, and it's like, let me get somebody's number. So we gave him Jeff's number, and about 2 weeks later, Heavy called Jeff's mother, because we went back to North Carolina.
Right.
And told us to give him a call. We gave him a call. He told us to come back to New York because he wanted to introduce us to Eddie F,
right,
who had a company called Untouchables. And that's pretty much how that whole started. From the first meeting. Fast forward. Excuse the noise in the background.
It's all good.
I'm actually at my sister's house in Maryland tonight.
Man, you around the corner? I'm in Maryland.
You're in Maryland?
Yeah, man.
Hey, I'm in Brooklyn Park.
What county are you?
I could have did this.
You could have did this. Yeah, we could have did this. Yeah, man. I had no idea.
Anne Arundel?
Man, that's like the neighboring county. That's like 30 minutes from me.
Let's have lunch tomorrow.
Yeah, that's like 30 minutes from me.
Hit Sonia up tomorrow. We'll have lunch.
Let's do it. Let's chop it up, man. I know a nice little spot out there. Mike's Seafood.
Mike's Seafood?
Mike's Seafood out Annapolis. Let's hit that joint up.
All right, bro.
Anyway, so look. So one thing I remember, you know, and it really stood out to me is I always thought you got, because of the association with Father MC and Mary J. Blige. Talk about that whole relationship with Uptown Records, because at one time I thought you guys were signed to Uptown.
I know, because we were always around Uptown. Like we was pretty much like family, but Uptown already had an R&B group. They had Jodeci, so they didn't need two R&B groups at the time.
Ooh, that would have been crazy.
But I'm telling you, dude, like it's so much stuff that went on behind the scenes. Like we used to just go out. Like Jodeci, they had a house in Cross Creek, New Jersey, and we just used to go over there on the daily. Me, Kenny, and Jeff would be right up in the house with Casey, JoJo, Devontae, and Dalvin. Devontae on the piano. We out in the yard playing basketball. Yeah. JoJo on the scooter going to the store, coming back with food. Then we go over to our studio. Donnell Jones is up in here just chilling.
Right.
Puffy is up in the loft. On another day I go in, Mary J. Blige is sitting on the couch. That's how I met her, and she's there to work. Father MC popping in and out. It's just like a modern day Motown. So much music was around us. And I think that's what's reflected on our first album. Like that whole spirit of that intro album, the Green and Orange one.
Yeah, this one right here.
Yeah, that's a reflection of everything that was going on around us at the time.
Classic, man. So you just mentioned Mary, man. What was it like to be around Mary, man. And was she at the time making the 411?
She was making the 411 at that time.
Talk
And
about that,
were,
man.
yeah, we were working with Dave Hall, and we had a record called the record "Let Me Be the One," and that originally was for Mary J. Blige.
Oh, okay.
Let Me Be the One was for Mary J. Blige, but once the session started kicking off, then Reminisce, My Love, Love No Limit came about, and Puffy thought that he had 4 spots left for her, but he only had 3 spots. So we kept Let Me Be the One, and she got the other 3 songs. And that's my daughter that you see like running around behind me.
Right.
Come on, Lauren. This is a real interview. Because she comes on my lives when I'm talking to my friends sometimes. Just say hi and good night.
Probably the same age as my youngest. Was she 7?
I'm sorry.
I said she's probably the same age as my youngest. Was she 7?
Yeah, she's 5. She's 5.
Okay. Yeah, mine's a 7.
She'll be 6 in June.
Okay. Okay. So talk to me the lead up, man. So here you guys, man, you performing. You know, your first time of really getting some type of notoriety, man, is through that Father MC track Next to You. And then you're around Mary J. I mean, you guys are just totally engulfing that whole uptown culture. How did you guys go from that to getting signed with Atlantic Records? And I believe was Sylvia Rome, was she there at the time?
Yeah, shout out to Sylvia Rome. She's like my my angel in the industry. I have a very interesting story about her. I wish I would have shared it in the documentary. But
you can talk about it right. You can talk about it right here.
Yeah, well, it was one Friday night. Eddie called a dinner party to his house. He had a dinner party, and he invited, Eddie F. He invited the head of all of the major record companies, like all of the big dogs, the top people, to his house for dinner.
Right.
And during the dinner, me, Kenny, and Jeff was there, and all he played the whole night was intro music. So when people left, that's all they heard was intro music. And by Tuesday of that next week, we had a deal with Atlantic Records. So Monday, everybody called him, and on Tuesday, he made the decision. Like, he called us that night. He's like, "Yo, you guys gonna be signed to Atlantic." It was like, "Oh, pretty cool, pretty cool." You know, at that time, honestly, I thought we was just gonna be songwriters and producers. I didn't know that we were gonna like get a deal to put out an album and stuff. But during that time, being around the Untouchables, being around the uptown artists, it was just destined to come up with good music, because what we didn't have, Donnell had. What Donnell didn't have, Puffy had. What Puffy didn't have, Mary had. What Mary didn't have, Devontae had. You know, we just was able to feed off of each other. And yeah, man, it's just like, it's like perfect timing at that time. It's like perfect timing. But back to Sylvia Rome over at Atlantic. Once we got to Atlantic, man, this lady right here, she, like, this is how Sylvia was, right? And I hope she doesn't mind me telling this story. I was up at the label one day, and I walked past her office. "Hey, Sylvia, how you doing?" She said, "Hey, buddy, what's up? How you doing? Come in for a second." I was like, "Hey, what's up?" Yeah, she's like, "I know you in the group and stuff, and you writing and stuff, but what else do you want to do in the music business?" That was her. She was giving me an opportunity right there. If I would have said I wanted to be a president of my own label, she would have made it happen. But I said I want to be a producer. She said, "Oh, you want to be a producer?" She said, "Okay." She got quiet for a second. She said, "Do you have a studio?" I said, "No, I don't have a studio, but I have a keyboard. That's what I write my songs on." She said, "Well, if you want to be a producer, you need to have a studio." I was like, "Yeah, I know." I said, I'm working on that now. As we start getting the show money and stuff, I'm going to put it together." She said, "Nah. I'll tell you what to do." She said, "You go and find out what you need for your studio, and you come back and let me know.
Wow.
And I'll see what I could do." I was like, "Oh, snap." So I left her office. I went down to Sam Ash in Manhattan, and I looked at everything that Dave Hall, Phil Hodge, and Eddie F had in their studio. And, you know, I remembered. So I went in the store and I started writing stuff down. I went home, I put my list together, and I sent the email to her assistant. And I'm like thinking, okay, maybe in a month they're going to get back to me and be like, we'll approve the budget for your studio, right? No, later that afternoon, they said, "Come pick up your check." Like that same day, she was like, "Come pick up your check." I was like, "No, I'm not picking up no check. I don't want no check. FedEx this check FedEx the check to this address right here. This is the
Right.
store where I'm gonna order everything from. So I ordered it up. They FedEx the check there. About 3-4 days later, UPS trucks start showing up with equipment, and that's how I started like really getting into production. So I owe her projects. I owe her, and you know, I don't know what act is going to be or something, but I'm going to deliver something to her.
Right.
She's over at Sony right now, I believe.
Sony.
Yeah.
Yep. That's wild. So when you guys you said you guys performed and they was playing, you know, nothing but intro music. What were the songs that stood out to them? And did those songs make the first album?
A lot of the songs that he played were just songs that we had recorded, like just different songs. A lot of songs they heard that night didn't make the album because after we got the deal, then we started really just changing up, doing more songs. Like we've recorded about 20 to 30 songs for that first album.
Okay.
We put, I believe it was 10 with a bonus track, Ecstasy of Love, on there. But prior to that, we was just doing records, and a lot of those records ended up going to other artists.
Oh,
that came out in the 90s too.
okay.
Like Christopher Williams, Where's the Love? We did that. Winans, Paradise.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. That's wild.
It's like it's so long ago. It's if I hear them, I'll remember them. But I'm telling you, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of how that went down right there. Yeah, man.
Okay. So the first album drops, man, and I believe it dropped when I'm thinking back when I was a kid when it dropped. It dropped that spring of '93.
Mm-hmm.
Dropped that spring of '93. March 13th, there you 2 days before my brother's birthday. Okay. And you guys, the lead off single was Love Thing. So yes, talk about Love Thing and why did you guys or why did the labels choose that as the lead single? I love that song, but I'm not gonna lie. At the time, I thought, you know, I didn't care for it, but through the years, I've learned to love that song. So but talk about that.
We took a chance with it. We took a risk putting out the brand new Nubian loop, the Edie Brickell, that sample, and we just like let's just do a hard beat with some singing on it, and let's see what it does. And Atlantic they really wasn't feeling it, but Untouchables was feeling it.
Yeah,
and Atlantic believed in Untouchables enough to give us the chance to release that song. And I remember we shot the video on Super Bowl Sunday, preparing for the release of it. And it went out, and a lot of DJs in New York wasn't feeling it. Like Funkmaster Flex, they gave him Love Thing, but he didn't play Love Thing. He said, "Give me, let me be the one."
That's the one. That's the one. That's what I felt should have been the lead on single. If we gonna talk about.
Yeah.
Go ahead, brother.
But I think Love Thing was the buzz record. Let people know that we were coming.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it has that classic, 90s urban New Jack, got a little New Jack twist to it, but it don't sound like Teddy's New Jack Swing or Gene Griffith's, that type. It was very distinctive, but I thought I loved Let Me Be the One. That I'm not gonna lie, that was the one I thought should have been the lead off.
Yeah, Let Me Be the One was a fun song. And nobody really knows how we came up with that record. It's a funny story behind that too. It's kind of like a funny story behind everything that we did, man, because we just had fun. And Let Me Be the One, right? Dave had that beat going, and it was really, really dope. But prior to singing that, it's like we was rehearsing another song with pretty much the same lyrics. And if you think about it, you'll say, "Oh shoot, okay." So can you guess where we got it from? Ready? You won't. Nobody will. Let me be the one you come running to.
Man, stop.
But instead, here we go. Let me be the one you come running to. Yeah. So,
oh man, that's
just having fun with music and
whole new. I like how y'all
and not being disrespectful and plagiarizing, So yeah.
No, I did. I remember seeing that on I believe BET seen you guys perform that on
Yeah,
BET Soundstage, and I
Mariah
became a believer.
Mariah Carey wanted that song.
She wanted that.
Yes, it didn't make Mary's album.
Right.
Mariah heard it. She wanted it. But we had already put it on the track list for the album.
Okay.
So Dave went in with Mariah and he did Dream Lover. That's how it's similar to Let Me Be the One. Yeah.
Okay. So I believe the follow-up single was the classic, the one that that you guys are most known for. Come Inside. What made you decide to go? What made you guys decide to go with a ballad instead of another up tempo?
We knew we needed a cutting edge love making type of song.
Okay.
And then here we go back to thinking what's out there, what's popular, how can we build on that? Because there's really nothing new in music. Everybody, you can come up with something new, but it's always a little bit from here and always a little bit from here. So I remember Guy had a song called Tease Me. Tease Me tonight, girl.
On the Future album.
And then out of the blue, Aaron just came out of nowhere and said, I want to come inside. I want to bring you joy. I was like, what? He said, what? Boom. The hottest part of that song. Give me that. Let me come inside.
Oh,
a whole
okay.
Song.
Yeah.
Into a whole song, pretty music behind it. Of course, we put the pen on it, thinking about you. But yeah, that song brought my mother a house. And my grandmother hated it. My grandmother hated that song, yo. She was like, Clinton Jr., we raised you better than that.
Because it's originally the album version is like 8 minutes long.
I was like, go easy, grandma. Yeah, the nasty version is like 8 minutes long.
Yeah, the album version.
Yeah, they put that mic in the middle of them two kids and just let them go at it.
Hold on.
They was doing it for real.
Yo, time out, yo. Yeah, okay, that's what I was just about to ask. So what you telling me, that was no acting, that was real?
Yeah, the mic was right in the middle of them, turned the lights off, and just pressed record. And, it got kind of loud in there, but nobody wasn't standing around looking at them neither. They was in the dark, like the vocal booth. And they kept it, and they of course they had to do a lot of editing. Yeah, but that was the final product right there.
Yo, that has to be that probably has to be like the only time that has ever happened on record. Cause you hear like I'm thinking is like Pillow Talk by Sylvia or what I'm saying, like it's sound effects or what I'm saying. Yeah. So that's crazy. Yeah. Whose idea was that, man? To think of
Novell Hodge, the producer, he thought it would be dope to like bring somebody in. Yeah. He always like to have like some talking at the beginning of the records and stuff like that, or
Novell Hodge, wow, man. How was it working? How was it working with him in the studio, man?
Novell is phenomenal, man. He sits at that piano. Novell's actually in the documentary as well, so you'll get a chance. Nobody knows Novell Hodge, but they'll get a chance to meet him in Intro Documentary, which comes out June 4th. Yeah.
Okay. All right, man. So here you guys come out. I believe Come Inside went all the way up to like it definitely cracked the top 10.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was like I know it cracked top 10. I'm not gonna push it past 8 or 9.
So try restarting.
Okay. At that time, my favorite record was Anniversary by Tony. So I had gave up on having the number one. Come Inside and Anniversary was out at the same time. So I was just like, okay, Anniversary is number one song. I'm fine with that because it happens to be my favorite song. And it's probably one of my favorite songs of all times, even to today.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's interesting, man. I'll tell you, that first album, man, when you guys get to the middle, starting with Ribbon in the Sky, man, what made you guys cover Ribbon in the Sky, man? And how was what did Stevie Wonder think about that?
Tim Patterson told us to do Ribbon in the Sky. We told him we didn't want to do Ribbon in the Sky. We told him straight up we weren't doing Coming Inside. Tim Patterson, everybody that knows him, he's a Harlem dude. and he doesn't take no for an answer. So he scheduled the studio time and everything, linked up with Novell, got the track. We went in and we did Ribbon in the Sky, and we left somewhat satisfied. We knew it was a Stevie Wonder song. Commercially, it would benefit him more than it would benefit us. That's what we thought at the time. So we did the song and we left, and they put it on the album. We didn't know it was going to make the album. It got on the album, and it got to Stevie Wonder. Donnie Simpson grabbed it at WPGC. And he started playing it there.
That's our radio station.
Yeah, he started playing it there, and by the time we got past Come Inside, and when it was time to pick the next single, Atlantic Records was like, okay, we're gonna do a video for Ribbon in the Sky. Right. So they sent us out to Los Angeles to do Ribbon in the Sky. While we were out there, Stevie Wonder heard that we were there shooting the video, but I didn't know at the time, so I left after the video shoot, and I came back to New York. And Kenny called my house before I got home and told my mother that I should have stayed in Los Angeles because they were going to meet Stevie Wonder the following day. Okay. It was still early enough in the day where I was able to get back on the plane and go back to Los Angeles. So I got back there the next morning, and we went over to Stevie Wonder's house, and it was like a party. Yeah, like a party, man. Yep.
Describe that experience, man. Like meeting Stevie, man. What did he think about the record, man? Because I remember you guys did a video.
He talks about it at the beginning of the video.
Yeah.
The whole time we were at his house, it was just fun. It wasn't really praising us about the song. You know, he expressed that he liked our rendition of the song and stuff, but from there it was just like, let's party. He went out, he sent out for food, he got Kenny a birthday cake, he called over Terrence Trent D'Arby and Johnny Gill. Wow. Then he booked it later on in the day. He booked the studio session. We ended up recording a song with him that ended up on the Curtis Mayfield tribute album called All Men Brothers.
I remember, yeah.
So that's my whole experience of him. I've actually been trying to reach him on the phone I've been calling his cell phone for probably like the last month and a half, but it's always full, man. It's going to voicemail or something because I really wanted him to be in the documentary. No, so now I have somebody else calling him, trying to help, trying to get a message to him. Because from what I understand, he's about to move to Africa. He's about to move.
Yeah. He said he done with the U.S. He done with the U.S.
Yeah, so I was hoping I could get some words in from him for the documentary. Yeah, shout out to Stevie Wonder. And
Legend.
Our respect for him bled on that record right there, so.
No doubt. So one of my favorite songs on there, man, I need to know about this one, man, because this one right here, and I want you to guess, but this one right here, man, I slept on for years. It took me about 5 years, man, after it came out, man, it took me about 5 years to realize, like, this is probably arguably the dopest song on there, in my opinion.
Okay.
Guess what that one is?
Don't Leave Me?
There you go. Yeah. Yo, how did y'all come up with that song right there, man?
Yo, during the Gulf War, I was dating this girl, and she was writing me every day. I would get a letter religiously from her every day. I love you, I love you, I love you. Boom, I want to marry you. So we get engaged, stuff like that. So finally the war is over, and my day flying back home, my sister met me at the airport, and the girl wasn't with her. And I was like, where is she? She's like, I don't know, she's late. Well, make a long story short, you can hear it in the song. She had left me for somebody else, but I didn't know. So I kind of like let that beat me up for a long time. I just let it beat me up. It's like I didn't want to be with nobody else, nothing. And then one day we were sitting at like the island, like where I'm sitting right now in the kitchen. Me and my little brother at Eddie F's house, and it was a track playing, and that's where it came up from. I think the chorus, the verse came before the chorus and stuff.
Okay.
And then Kenny, he's like, well, what are you working on? What are you working on? Okay, this is what we're gonna do with this. This is gonna be that. Boom, he just grabbed the pen real quick. This gonna be this section's gonna be that. This section's gonna be that. This section's gonna be that. Yo, Novell, this is the next song we're doing in the session. And that was Don't Leave Me. that turned out to be "Don't Leave Me." And on our upcoming album, we have an album coming out in June.
Okay.
Being that a lot of people don't know about "Don't Leave Me" because it wasn't a single cut, it's coming. It's coming, and it's on this next album, "Don't Leave Me." And Darren Whittington gave me a track, a new 2021 "Don't Leave Me," right? And I did something crazy 2 days ago. I texted Coco from SWV and I said, "Would you consider doing this as a duet with me?" But she hasn't texted me back yet. But that's my homegirl. Everybody knows that. Okay. So I would love to do that song over with her. But if not, "Don't Leave Me" will make it to if not mainstream radio, mainstream streaming. This is a beautiful song. It's really a beautiful song.
Yeah.
It's definitely my favorite song on the album.
See, I'm not the first one that told you that.
It's my favorite song.
Hey, man,
if I wasn't in the group, it'd be my favorite song on the album.
No doubt. One thing I love about like you guys mesh so perfectly, man. Talk about what was it like, man, being at the epicenter of like R&B royalty during that era, man, with all the great groups, out around that time, man. How did you guys? What was the method or the process as far as like making sure you guys stand out from the rest?
Okay. Well, during the time after the first album, we toured for about 2 years with Silk and H-Town. It was H-Town, Silk, Intro, and then we did like in between those we would go SWV, Intro, UNV, Whitehead Brothers, and then it turned into this one big tour with Mint Condition, Intro, Men at Large.
Wow.
And on this one tour, I remember that was like one of the most memorable tours because a lot of promoters would give you money to eat dinner on your own, but it was this one promoter who had a different system. He'd have a van downstairs at like 5 p.m. If you wanted dinner, then you would have to go down on the van, and then he'd drive to a restaurant, and he just take care of the bill there, as opposed to giving all the artists per diems. So on any day, we'd be in the van, be like Stokely and Kenny and Little G and dudes from H-Town. Everybody singing each other's songs. Like we singing the Mint Condition song, but Kenny's singing the leads. And so being around those dudes, it seemed like we all came from the same type of background. Nobody came from big money and stuff. Everybody had a certain story in their life of pain and how the music kind of saved them and brought them through it. Like I think music saved me a lot from like the being in the war and stuff. Because right after the war, there was Intro, so I didn't have a lot of time to sit around and think about all of the bad things that I had seen and stuff.
Right.
So during that time right there, being in music and being around like other musicians and stuff, like really helped me out on a personal level as well. Not just because it was my job at the time, but personally it was doing a lot for me. Yep.
No doubt. Now you mentioned how you guys put together Don't Leave Me. Now, was that the process? Was that the process as far as like putting songs together? The writing process?
It just always happened different. Somebody give us a cassette with a tape on it. Driving to the studio, it might happen. Driving back and forth to North Carolina, we'd always be writing. We just always, it depends on like Dave Hall. We'd go to Dave Hall's house and he would just put on a loop, like with the My Love's on the Way on the second album. He just had that beat going. And then before you know it, not a day later, like an hour later, there'd be a song done. Like we recorded most of those songs within 2 to 3 hours. Every single song on the album, vocally took us about 2 to 3 hours because we had prepared ourselves before we went into the studio. Because nowadays we can spend as much time as we want in the studio because everything's done on the computer. But back in the days, and you go into the studio and you paying X amount of money an hour, even though the label was paying it, we didn't want to like come up with these big bills. So when we went into the recording studio, we went into the recording studio to record. And what I was noticing was a lot of artists would go into the recording studio and start writing their songs, start learning their songs.
Bad idea.
And just hours and hours of time passing,
and that goes on your budget.
And then they coming back the next day to do the backgrounds. Then we're gonna come back the next day and do the leads. When we went to the studio, those songs were done within 2 to 3 hours.
But buddy, doesn't that come out of your budget when you do that as well?
Absolutely, you pay that money back. That comes, all of your recording costs, you pay back. It's not a favor from the record company. They don't stop like, oh, we think you guys are great, so we're gonna pay for you to go in the studio. You order lunch at the studio, and it goes on the studio bill. It's coming out of your royalties. Every single thing, every single penny. Yep.
How long did it take for y'all to realize that?
It took me maybe like 2 years later when I really started, because you gotta think about it. It's like we're young. We don't really know the music business at that time. Right. We didn't know the music business. We were kind of like blindsided because we were getting so much money from doing the tours that we wasn't really thinking about the artist side of it and how much was going unrecouped and stuff like that. And by the time you pay attention to it and be like, oh, wait a minute. I remember we had lunch over there. Oh, I thought he was paying for it. Oh, we was paying for it. You know, stuff like that. It really happens. So that's some advice to any new artist that's watching this. You know what I'm saying? Pay attention to what you're spending and what you're buying, and you know, because at the end of the day, you're going to be paying that back. You're going to be paying that back. Wow. Unless somebody just out of the kindness does something for you, i.e. Sylvia Rome with the studio stuff. You know, that's like, you know, she said,
I ain't paying for no. I get you some stuff for the studio, but I ain't paying for studio costs.
Yeah, stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. We not doing that over here. So look, what was the, you know, how did you guys feel about that first album, and what was the direction that you guys wanted to go as far as the next project?
Well, we felt the first album did pretty good. You know, it happened so fast. Like I said, we recorded probably 20 or 30 songs, and it came down to that dinner that night for us to get the deal at Atlantic. But once we got the deal at Atlantic, the 10 to 11 songs that ended up being picked on there wasn't really the A&R. That happened on the backyard deck at Eddie F's house with Supercat, the reggae artist Supercat.
Yeah, Supercat. Legend.
And we just back there hanging out, doing what we do. And he's like picking the songs. Yeah, that one right there, man. Yeah, that one right there.
Hold up. So with Supercat.
Like, I'm telling you, Supercat had a big part in picking the songs on the first album from hanging out with us at Eddie F house, because Eddie F came out with the paper. He's like, okay, we got to pick the playlist for the album. And it was on that day that we turned it in to Kevin Woodley. And, you know, Kevin Woodley made some changes with it. He was our A&R at the time. So going into the second album, Kevin Woodley was no longer at Atlantic. They hired a new A&R, Brian Reed, who was L.A. Reid's younger brother, who was actually dating Tony Braxton at the time. So his attention wasn't really on intro, if you ask me. His attention was on the Braxtons because Atlantic had just signed them. So he was like family to them. So you know, there's nothing wrong with them. You know,
a little nepotism though. A little nepotism right there though.
Absolutely. So I felt like our second album got lost in that shuffle from changing A&R. We went from being signed to Untouchables production to be signed directly to Atlantic Records. So it was a lot of change in administration, and then to top everything off, Kenny's father passed away as soon as we got the budget. So now there's no fun stuff to write about right now.
Yeah, because it seemed like Kenny's dad.
Spending my life with you. You know, it's like it turned more into a gospel album than a party album. So
now at the time, because that first side of the album, man, you got Strung Out on Your Love, Funny How Time Flies, man. You got some nice little, yeah, man. So, but also because it's broken up in two parts, I believe.
It is.
It's broken up in 2 parts. Now, whose idea was that? Because you mentioned, Kenny's father passing, because I hear a lot of that in that album, especially on the second half. Talk to me about that.
We had a lot of creative control over the second album, more creative control than the first album, but I wasn't involved as much with the second album as the first album because of the freedom that we had to give him to vent because of his father's passing. So as far as the ballads and stuff, you're not gonna really hear my writing and stuff on those, like Spending My Life, New Life, There Is a Way. I love those songs. Those are like some of my all-time favorite songs. However, creatively, like my element was missing from those songs. So that's kind of like the different from the New Life album and the original intro album.
Okay. Yeah, I know you mentioned Rodney Jerkins, man. He on that Strung Out. How did you guys link up with Rodney Jerkins? This was a young Rodney Jerkins.
Rodney Jerkins was 16 years old at the time.
Yeah, he was young.
And I had actually went into the meeting with the A&R, and I was like, yo, man, I didn't have no production on the first album. I produced our demos to get us pretty much into the music business. I want to produce a record on the album. This dude pulls a baseball bat out on me. Start smacking it in his hand. He's like, "Oh, you think you this? You think you that? You think?" I was like, "Whoa." So then they start playing this song, "Strung Out on Your Love." I was like, "Yo, who did that?" There's like this kid named Rodney. I said, "Rodney who?" I was like, "I never even heard of him." And then I saw this. I was like, "Yo, that's hot." It's like he's 16 years old. I was like, "That's going on the album." So I was like, I stopped fighting to get a song on the album. That's how hot Rodney's song is. You leaving? Hey, take care. Okay. So yeah, man. That's Rodney Jerkins. Dark Child.
Dark Child. This before Dark Child. So here we go. The first single, if I'm not mistaken, the first single was Funny How Time Flies.
Funny How Time Flies was
man. Hey, on that particular song, that's when I realized, man, how dope of dancers you guys were, man. Tell me about the making of that song, and how did you guys come up with those dance steps?
I can't remember all of that, man. I can't remember that. I wish I could remember.
Yo, we go in.
Yeah,
you don't remember? Oh man, you guys! I saw you guys perform that on Soul Train, and to me, I think that's your best choreography ever in that particular video. Check it out.
Okay, I do remember the choreography to the song, but I'm trying to think who was the choreographer. I don't want to give. We had some dope choreographers. We had Darren Henson. We had June Ambrose. We had Stretch and Henry, who did Remember the Times for Michael Jackson. And then we had Frank Gaston, who's the choreographer for Beyonce now. So yeah, behind the scenes, we had some really good people behind us, pushing us. And Atlantic Records really put behind the scenes. They put a lot. They made us do etiquette classes so that we like doing interviews right now, sit up straight, try to articulate yourself, don't be slouching, don't use so much profanity. We had to do etiquette classes with them. They sent us to certain like courses where people would come in, like Dr. Conrad Muhammad, Cornell West. Like they really tried to groom us to be like, what I'm saying, like something for their future.
So was that
man? I don't got no beef with them. Let me tell you, a lot of artists be beefing with about the music industry and how much they hate it, and there's so many myths out there. It's like, oh, you gotta sell your soul. Oh, you gotta do that. I ain't selling shit. Right. You know what I'm saying? I'm a Jesus loving freak. I love God. You know what I'm saying?
Did I ever
that's all a lie. All these, if you're in the music industry, you a dude, you gotta be, that's a lie. That's a lie. That ain't never happened. That ain't never happening. We could
choose to go down that road. Yeah, nobody makes it.
Yeah, you have to go into that business, the frame of mind. You are who you are, and that's who you are. Yeah, man. You got some good questions, man. All this stuff is in the documentary, though. I'm giving away the whole documentary.
All right. Well, look. This okay. So look. Okay. Now you got my favorite songs on there, man. Is My Love's on the Way, man. Is a sleeper. My Love's on the Way, man. Nice little jazzy. You guys are really stretching, spreading your wings, man. And also Feel Like the First Time, man, which was, I guess, the standout track, man. And you know what I'm about to ask. You know what I'm about to ask, right?
I have no idea.
Okay, so check this out. When Kenny sings the part, I want to have sex with you. Do you feel like that was a good idea to put in the song, or do you feel like that kind of hindered that song, like as far as radio play? Because I felt that straw was very strong, man. Like I felt
they reversed it in the mix because it said, "I wanna have with you the whole night." The radio version, they reversed the word sex, so it says, "I wanna have with you," even though it was there. I think like people have to be mindful of that. Like when you writing, like I just did a record with this guy Barry Blends, and he told me to take out the word hell no. He said, "Trust me, just take it out. You don't need it. It's gonna go further if you said." I was like, "We can't keep meeting like this. Hell no." And he's like, "Nah, you don't need to have that in there." And I took it out, and I was like, you don't really need to have all that stuff,
Right. It's
different audiences. Feels Like the First Time. It kind of made the record on our level, on the street level, and people hanging out and stuff. It kind of made it bigger, more daring and more what you would expect from intro.
Definitely, man. So that album, it wasn't as successful as the first project, but as far as quality, I feel like that project was just as strong, man. So, what was how did you guys feel about that overall, and what was you guys' relationship, between you, Kenny, Jeff, during that second album?
Well, I feel like nothing's gonna touch that first album, but we could have touched it because that's so tabooish. Where a lot of people put out one album and then the second album is just nothing like the first album. Like that didn't have to be the case with Intro. If it wasn't the case, Untouchables stayed with Eddie F, Dave Hall, and kept that same chemistry, we would have had the second, not taking nothing away from New Life, but the second album would have been just as good, or if not better, than the first album. But we changed so much. It's like you opened a can of Pepsi and drank it, and it tastes like orange soda. Like what the hell is this? So yeah, we caught a lot of people by surprise. And it's like 25 years later, we still kind of trying to play catch up and explain what exactly happened. And on June 4th, I'm hoping that the documentary sets that straight. Shout out to Jason Evans at Films for putting that thing together.
Okay, yep. No doubt. So, that came out in 1995. I believe that fall of 95. And like I said, I remember it like it was yesterday, man. I remember hearing it, played everywhere. But then, you guys, it took a while for you guys, that was it. I didn't hear anything from you, man. So, what was going on, man? Because in the process, a very tragic event happened during that time, So talk about that a little bit.
Well, after we dropped the New Life album, we toured for maybe 8 to 9 months on that record. And after that, everybody really just wanted to be home. We just we just wanted to be home. Like the label was no longer pushing the record. Like I said, they had other interests and stuff. It was like, what's the use of us running around promoting this by ourselves if we're not really getting no real push? So Kenny went home. I stayed home. I started just working on with other artists. Like I did like an album with Terrell Hicks.
Okay.
So I went back to doing gospel music. I actually started working with John Legend's mother on a gospel project. And I was like, well, that's that. And it wasn't until about 2 years later when Fubu, the clothing company, started working on a collaboration album that they got the three of us, Jeff and myself, back in the studio.
Yeah.
We started recording and what would go on to be songs for what would be our third album. But then Kenny took sick. His health started failing him. And, that was pretty much that era right there. The era of creating music, the three of us just was like, devastating. came to a devastating halt.
Now, when you guys found out, did you guys ever see any signs of Kenny being sick or anything of that nature?
We had conversations. He told me. We shared everything. He told us everything. It's nothing for me to bring up somebody's personal business like that. But he didn't hide anything from me. He's like my brother. Yeah, right. He's like my little brother. I'm older than Kenny. I was older than Kenny. Yeah.
We'll talk about Kenny.
Guy in the group. I'm the only guy in the group with kids. I got 4 kids. So he knew that he could talk to me and stuff like that. And yeah.
So talk a little bit about Kenny a little bit, man. Like, what made him so special, man? What made him so special?
He's his gift, his God-given gift, man. And his humbleness, being a great brother, I've met some R&B artists, some really popular R&B artists that feel like, yeah, God gave me a gift.
Right.
But I'm God as well and stuff like that. He just never, he was a real humble dude. I've met people within the last couple of years that have come to me and be like, yo, man, that dude Kenny, he was dope. I was coming out of the club one day. He just gave me $400. I didn't ask it for nothing. He didn't even know I needed it, but I needed it. Right. And that story goes on and on. I could tell you, like, after the Mary J. Blige stuff, because as you see, I didn't get writing credit on the Mary J. Blige songs.
I was just about to ask about that because he brought they got he got credit on Reminisce, Love No Limit, and My Love. Which ones did you
like we all collaborated on that stuff, but Kenny was the majority of the writer, and at this time MCA Publishing, they're not going to cut 3 publishing checks for one song. So we kind of had an agreement and stuff. And I can't say I wrote those songs. He wrote those songs. I just worked on it with him. I'm in the studio with Mary and him. I'm singing on some of the backgrounds and stuff. And the kind of dude he was, like, he woke me up one morning. He was like, yo, buddy, what you doing? I was like, oh, man, I just got in. And he's like, Dad, he said, I need to go to the city. I was going to ask you to drive me to the city real quick. I was like, man, I'm tired. He said, yo, if you take me to the city, I'll give you $10,000. I was like, where you at? Where you at, man? Where you at? Waking my eyes. Waking up now. $10,000 to drive you, like, it's like a 25-minute drive. You know what I'm saying? It's not like drive you 4 hours. So sure enough, I get up. I pick him up at his house in Brooklyn. We drive to the city, go crack the check, go to special banking, and I'm there with him. He's like, oh, put $10,000 in a different envelope. And boom, here you go. $10,000. I'm like, all right, come on, let's go back to Brooklyn. He's like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna stay in the city for a little bit. They're talking about an Uber ride. You know what I'm saying? But that's just how he was. He wasn't paying me to take him to the city. He's just that type of person. He was like that generous, man. Yeah.
Okay. So when Kenny passed, he ended up passing away in 2001.
Yeah.
Early 2001, I believe.
October 2001. Okay. October 1st, 2001.
Okay.
A month after September 11th.
Almost after. So were you guys in the process of doing completing the 3rd album?
We had recorded songs, but at the time of Kenny's passing, we was just in the process of being by his side and supporting him. Yeah, I wasn't even thinking about music at that time. Yeah. So
basically after when he passed, what was the how was the labels what was that conversation like with the label? Was that, like, I hate to say it, but like breach of contract? Because how does that work?
It wasn't a breach of contract. Like, prior to Kenny's passing, we had already severed ties with Atlantic Records. We had already had severed ties with them, so we weren't contractually
obligated.
Yeah, we weren't. We were pretty much free agents to do whatever we wanted to do. And with Kenny's passing, one of my fears was, like, I didn't even know if I wanted to do music anymore as far as being in a group or stuff like that. I never thought anybody would ever talk about Intro again. But in the back of my head, I did not want the legacy of Intro to be Intro stopped doing music because Kenny died. I didn't want that to be the end narrative. Even if we just put out one more song, even if we did just one more interview, even if we did just something, just out of respect to the legacy of the brand. because I always felt like Intro was bigger than Kenny, Intro was bigger than Jeff, and Intro was bigger than Buddy, because the amount of teamwork that it took to bring the brand up to where it was. I mean, people see a successful R&B group or successful artist and they think, oh my God, they so talented, they did it by themselves. Dude, it's like you know artists, right? It's like sometimes 20, 30 people that's on a day-to-day thing, pushing, making phone calls, and getting you from here to there. And I wake up many mornings and look out my window and I see a black car sitting out there, and I'm like, what are you here for? Oh, I'm here for 1260 Broadway. You got interviews today. Like, and you don't even know. It's just so many people coordinating different stuff. And when Kenny passed away, right? Like was I married when Kenny passed away? 2000. Yeah. For I think 1 year. But when he passed away, I was just like, I don't know if I want to do music no more. To make the long story short, I pretty much was like, I always knew I was going to do music, but I thought I was going to fall back into being a songwriter and a producer. And that's exactly what happened, because hip hop was coming out at that time.
Right.
And it became commercial. You wasn't hearing R&B on the radio anymore. And nobody was calling us for shows from like 1996 to 2006. Maybe that whole 10 years, not one person called for Intro to come out. And then come around 2006, 2007, people started calling, what you guys up to? Why don't you add a new member? So we tried to start adding new members to the group. That wasn't working. It's just, it just, to me, it was just would never be the same, And the more we tried to add people to the situation, the further we drifted away from the nucleus of Intro. But then we just was like, let's just do this ourselves. And when we decided just to go out on the road ourselves, the phone wouldn't stop ringing. We was going everywhere. London, and people flying us overseas to sing at weddings and stuff like that. And
wow. So my question I pose to you guys, man, like the reason why you guys are still, working together, is a lot of that has to do with just wanting to continue that legacy. Did you guys ever have a conversation with Kenny before he passed? Like, he knows he's about to transition, and did he tell y'all, hey man, keep that legacy going, man, because what we had was something special?
No, we never had that conversation with him. As far as when you go, man, I'm gonna keep it going. Nah, it was where it was is where it was gonna end. When he passed away, I didn't have it in me to say to him, when you going, I'm gonna keep it going, because that wasn't in my heart. I felt like when he left, it was going as well. That was the end of that era right there. If there was anything that was going to be built, it would have to be built again from the ground up, because he's pretty much like the head. You know what I'm saying? And as I told you, prior to the first Intro album, I wasn't even considered an R&B singer, not to myself or to I was a producer wanting to be a rapper and stuff. Like, all of the stuff that I've learned went through the first album, as far as being on the road and being in the rehearsals and stuff. And that's what kind of built me up vocally into the second album and stuff. So by the second album, I felt like I still had so much to learn from him and stuff. And we never discussed like, when you go, we're gonna keep it going. And I don't think I've ever even said that in an interview, because that would be a lie. If anybody ever heard me say that, I told Kenny that when he transitioned, we're gonna keep it going. Because
yeah. So what was some of the highlights of those years, man, being on Atlantic? What was you guys' favorite places to perform? Favorite songs to perform?
Most memorable performance for me was St. Petersburg, Russia. We had about 350,000 people show up.
Okay.
We went out with Stuntman. He has a song called "I Like to Move It." I like to move it.
Move it.
I like to move it. And Tootsie Roll guys called 69 Boys.
Boys, yeah.
Yeah, they went to Russia with us as well. So just seeing that amount of people, now that's normal. Like, the festivals now bring that type of people, those type of people out. We was being in Russia for like a couple of days and stuff.
Right.
And, from my knowledge at that time, we was like the first R&B group to perform in Russia. And another memorable time, of course, was Stevie Wonder, being at Stevie Wonder's house.
Mm-hmm.
That was memorable. I just had some good times. This music put me in some really good places. I mean, I remember one day just it dawning on me like, yo, dude, you're standing in Patti LaBelle's kitchen talking to her like she's your aunt or something.
Hey, did you get one of them pies, man?
Huh?
You get one of them pies?
I ate good at her house. I swear, I'm in her kitchen talking to her, and Thomas Hearns, the boxer, is in the kitchen with us.
The hitman.
We're just sitting there talking. And then Thomas was like, yeah, man, because he doesn't know. He's meeting me through Patty, right? Yeah. He's like, oh, so what do you do? I was like, yeah, I do R&B music. All right, yeah. And then she's putting them up on it. He's like, I want you to come out to my house. So he flies me out to Detroit. I'm in Thomas Hearns, the boxer's house. He had a recording studio in his house. And we in there trying to put a rap song together for him called Knock Him Out. It was a rap song called Knock Him Out. So
now, who was this song? Hold on. Time out. Who was this rap song for? This wasn't for Tommy Hearns, was it?
It was for him. He was doing it. Knock him out, Tommy. Knock him out. Knock him out, Tommy. Knock him out. It was really a good song. And I still have the tape, like the music. Yeah. It says TH on it. Yep.
Yeah, man. I gotta hear that one, man. I would love to hear that one, man. Tommy the Hitman.
Just to answer the question, man. Yeah, the music. It took me to some really cool places. Those were some of the most memorable events. And of course, the American Music Awards with Black Men United. That was pretty cool to be there with everybody that I had looked up to. You know, all my favorite groups was there.
What was your favorite songs to perform? You know, we went through the gamut of hits, but I want to know what was, Buddy's favorite songs.
Come Inside.
What was the craziest experience you guys had?
And,
if you don't mind,
because we got a chance to interact with the people. Yeah. They never knew what we was gonna do next. Kenny would bring a girl on the stage. Sometimes we'd jump out into the stage. I've always been too fat to take my shirt off. You've never seen me with my shirt off. So, but it's just a lot of fun because that song was so unpredictable and people knew towards the end of that record anything could happen.
Anything.
So that song was fun. And then let me see what it would be another fun song. Because sometimes you look forward to the next song, like, okay, this next song is coming on. Like when we first started performing, I kind of liked all the songs because that was the time when they started putting those big jumbotrons up. Yeah. Like behind the crowd and on the side and stuff. So I spent a lot of time just looking at myself up in the big things, just kicking everything over on stage and just looking at myself, like, because I was like, oh, that's me. I'm here. You know what I'm saying? It took. I fell off the speakers one time in Virginia. I fell down in the orchestra pit at New Jersey Performing Arts Center. Yep.
That's them dance steps, man.
Newark Symphony Hall. I fell into the orchestra pit.
Okay.
Playing around.
So it's safe to say who was the best dancer in the group? Jeff?
Jeff, by far. I was the worst. Kenny could really dance too, but I was definitely the 2 left foot guy. It took a lot of work with the choreographer for me to make it look believable. Yep.
Nah, yeah. I noticed when they do the camera angles, man, like they focus a lot on Jeff.
Yeah. Jeff was a dancer before he went to intro. He's been in Japan.
Not saying they ain't putting it on you. I'm just saying, like, Jeff is a dope dancer, man. I would just say that, man. Mm-hmm. But you're not too bad yourself, brother. You selling yourself short, man.
Ask my sister; she'll tell you the truth.
He was the Johnny Gill of the group.
Yeah, dude, I was hard. It was rough.
Okay. So, what were some of the things that you like now? Here, let's fast forward. It's 2021. You telling me that 2021, and you guys have a documentary coming out. Talk to me a little bit about that and what led you. Is this you and who you're partnering with as far as
in the Flicks Films. The director name is Jason Evans. We started approximately going on almost 2 years now, and prior to the pandemic, and he just did an outstanding job. I've watched the fifth cut. I might have. He said he's gonna send me something tonight or tomorrow, but I really want to wait until the 19th or 20th. Definitely gonna invite you to the screening. We're gonna have a virtual screening where you'll be able to watch the entire documentary. But in this documentary, he captured everything. He flew all over the place. He went down into Alabama, interviewed Kenny's mother and her sister. He's come up and captured some performances of us, like at the Apollo Theater. He's interviewed some of our good friends from there. Who we got in there? We got Mr. Cheeks from Lost Boys.
Right.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention I've toured with the Lost Boys for the last 3 years. I've been on tour with them, and I got about 3 songs with them, and I'm on their new album, The Grand Scheme.
Okay.
On a song called "Look What I Did with Me." But he's in there. Shout out to Mr. Cheeks and the Lost Boys. Big Daddy Kane is in there. Sadat X, Donnell Jones, Coco from SWV. Kango from UTFO, and people from the record companies and stuff like that. And it pretty much tells our story from the beginning to modern day, like where we at today. And I think you're really gonna like it. It's a full feature film. It's nothing like the shows the documentaries that you see on TV. That's all chopped up with commercials and stuff like that. Like honestly, it made me cry 3 times the first time I watched it. So,
wow.
June 4th. It's called Music, Lyrics, and Life. Story. Jeff, Kenny, and Buddy.
Yeah. Okay, so you and Jeff, you guys still work closely together?
I think I better get my phone on a charger here, because I just heard something that sounded like.
Yeah, it's going out on the.
I would want to do this again, an interview for my studio, so I could play some music as well. But,
no doubt, man. No, now that I noticed, now you live in Maryland?
Nah, I live in New York. Yeah.
Oh,
I live in New York. I just came down last night to spend a few days with my sister. I'll be here till Sunday. I think probably Sunday morning. Tomorrow I'm gonna have breakfast with my father. He's in the documentary. We're going to the you know where the Amish market is?
Yeah, out in Annapolis.
In Annapolis, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So probably should be this over there.
Hey man, I haven't been there in like 10 years.
Huh? I might not be ready for lunch after we go up in here.
Hey, we definitely go hook up tomorrow. We definitely go link up. But look, before we get out of here, talk to me a little bit about the current state of R&B, man. Because what you guys did as far as paving the way, man, I feel like it was legendary. It was a very special time, and I feel like today we've gotten away from that a little bit. As far as that traditional rhythm and blues.
Yeah, because hip hop, man, hip hop jumped in. Shout out to hip hop music, and it kind of like took people away from melodies, structure and harmonies, and it was more into like storytelling mode. And it was hip hop. First of all, is like one of the purest form of entertainment, because you're going straight to the head. Like I'm telling you the story. Forget all of the this is what I'm talking about. Do you get it? Yes or no? So that kind of pulled people away from a lot of harmonies and melodies and stuff like that. And then with the emergence of hip hop mixed with R&B, like artists like Drake and stuff, where they started mixing R&B with rap, that's kind of what brought R&B back or brought R&B to the attention of people. But now the younger artists, they don't know, they didn't go back and do their homework and listen to like Earth, Wind, and Fire and Stevie Wonder and stuff like that. So they're doing R&B music, but it's kind of like it's not in its pure essence. They're not taking the time to like do their homework. And I like it, but it could be done so much better. It's like, to me, it's like the difference between microwave food and oven food. It just has a little different taste. Right. You just leave it in the oven, you know what I'm saying? Take the time, put it in the oven, and yeah.
I feel like they should call it something else. Like don't get rid of it, of course. Well, you can't get rid of it, but I missed the days, and I was having this conversation with with Don Robinson, like I just missed the days where singers, they took pride in actually singing. They didn't want their voice to be distorted and to sound auto-tuned and these studio enhanced voices. I miss that. That's one thing I love about you guys, man. When you guys perform live, it was unless you guys were on Soul Train, it was live. Unless they said, hey, intro, we need you to lip sync like a Soul Train or something like that. Man, you guys sounded great live, and I missed that.
Thank you.
What's your take on that as far as, how important do you feel like live performances are, and what do you think about that as far as the artists of today?
Well, if somebody comes out and pay their hard work and money to see you perform live, you gotta give them, a live show. You can't. Nobody really wants to see like, da, 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 and then you hand the mic out and let them sing the rest of it. Da, 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 da. Like, yo, I paid to hear you sing the song. Why you got me singing the song? I get the whole sing along thing and it's good and stuff like that, but
not 90% of it. Not 90% of it.
You gotta. If I pay to go see a show, I want to hear some really just good singing. If you're not feeling well, and you let me know, yo, I'm a little under the weather. I've been on tour. Yeah, I give you credit for that. I'll be like, yo, okay, I know what to expect here and stuff. But if you come out and just not giving it 100%, then I kind of feel like I've been cheated. And that hasn't happened too many times. Most of the times I pick my shows that I go to because I know that the artist that I'm going to see is going to give it their all. But I just can't wait for the dimmer to be lifted on the situation where we can all get back out. And like the prior to the pandemic, we were on a nice little lineup. We was doing the last big thing we did. We sold out the O2 Arena in England from H-Town, Dina Howard, Cut Close, Horace Brown.
Horace Brown.
Yeah.
I ain't heard that name in a minute.
That's my dude. That's like my brother. He's in North Carolina. He lives in Germany, but he's in North Carolina right now.
Hey, I got it.
We got some intro featuring Horace Brown records.
Okay. Yep. That's that uptown connection. That's what's up, man.
But these records that we got from like the past 5 years of Horace just coming by my house and us just vibing out. So hopefully those will get out. I might try to sneak some on the soundtrack. Okay.
Yep. So as we close this thing out, what is intro today, and what inspires you? Like who makes up intro today, and what inspires you guys to continue to keep going as far as creating music?
But intro is the brand. Intro is the name of the group that put those songs together back in the 90s. Over the course from the 90s to today, people have popped in, people have popped out. Honestly, I'm the only person that's been in intro from day one to today. I've never missed the intro show. So at any given day, you might see me with somebody else. You might, but I'm definitely going to be there, and I'm going to be giving it 100%, and I'm going to be pushing this brand until nobody wants it to be pushed anymore. And I'll be able to tell that from my royalty statements. I'll be able to tell that from the Spotify numbers. It's easier to track your success now. It's not so much a guessing game as it was in the 90s, because they have all of these programs that's running with the algorithm, and and I can tell if people want to hear us or not. So I'm gonna stay there, and as long as the charts keep going up, I'm gonna stick around. Like I have a real job. I actually retired July 1st of this year, where I can get back into my music even more. So that's kind of like intro. And nobody really asked me that question before. That's why I got stumped. I honestly know it's bigger than me. I'm gonna always be there, but I know one day there might come a time when I can't be there. And I'm hoping that there's somebody else that's there to carry the brand on. Because if I wasn't a member of intro, I think I would be a fan of intro, because they really made some really good music that's timeless, it's classic. And I know self-credit is no credit. I give all the glory to God for putting me in the situation. And hey, That's intro, man. That's it.
Nah, no doubt, man. No doubt. As like I said, man, I'm so thankful and grateful, man, for you guys' contributions, man. I've been on an intro binge. When I found out that I was going to be able to have you on here, on the platform,
man, cool, bro.
I binged on intro, man. And did you guys ever feel like 20? We're talking about 93, 92. Like our music would still be. People still want to hear from intro. We will have this lasting effect on a generation.
I didn't think people would want to hear our music in the summer of 94. In 93, if you told me that people would still be listening to our music the next summer, I would have been like, nah. Because that's what was going on during that time. Like people was putting music out, and then you just wouldn't hear from them no more. So I felt like that was our window of opportunity, and they would be here, and that's it, man. I remember telling my mother prior to the album coming out. I remember the album came out in March, and it was like that December, I believe. This was like December '91 because I just came out of the military. But we had after we met Heavy D, and we started working with the other artists. I remember I was going to the mall with my mother, and I was like, I was telling her, I was like, one day you're gonna be able to come to this mall and buy whatever you want to. And, she chuckled and she laughed and stuff like that. But it was always something in my head that told me like, yo, just stay focused. You know what I'm saying? It's like I could see it happening, but I didn't know it was gonna happen. But I knew if I did my part to make it happen, there's a possibility,
No doubt.
For things to fall into place. So God bless my mother. God bless her soul.
You guys basically stayed the course.
To stay focused, man, and that's my advice to artists that's coming out now. I don't even use the word young artist because there's no age limit on a new artist that's coming out. A lot of people feel like their time has passed away because they didn't put out records when they were 19, 20. Let me tell you, R&B music is the only R&B and rap music is the only music that's labeled as old school, and they do that for a reason because we like the hottest music. You don't hear nothing about that's old school rock and roll. That's old school country. Don't fall for the hype, man. You 40, you 50 years old. You feel like you want to put out an R&B single, put it out, man. Get your music streaming. Get your ISRC codes yourself so that you own your music. Start your publishing company and just put them out there. Don't write songs and just keep them sitting at home. Put them on the internet. Put them on SoundCloud. Let people start streaming your songs and grow your fan base organically, one person at a time. Do not base your success on the next man because he went platinum. He went platinum probably because the label done paid so many millions of dollars in marketing and promotion.
What they call it, the machine.
The machine, yeah, man. Focus on one fan at a time. Grow your fan base organically, and that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, buddy, it was an honor talking to you, brother. I didn't mean to keep you this long, man. I hope
it's been a pleasure, man. It's been an absolute pleasure. Like I said, I came down to hang out with my sister. She just bought a house here in Brooklyn, Maryland. I didn't even know it was a Brooklyn, Maryland. She couldn't get away from Brooklyn. She's like, I'm moving to Maryland. I'm like, where? She's like, Brooklyn.
It's nice. It's nice. I'm in Ocean City right now.
Okay.
So, I'm not like that close, but if maybe we gonna talk about that.
My dad lives in Annapolis, so I'm gonna meet up with him tomorrow, and I think Jason might be back down here too. The director for the documentary, he lives down here as well.
And talk about that date for the documentary before we get out of here.
June 4th. Music, lyrics, and life. So it's straight up intro documentary. Shot in 4K, full feature film. It's going to the film festivals. I just want everybody to see it. I'm hoping everybody get a chance to see it.
Well, man, it was good chopping up with you, brother. I hope we touched on some things that haven't been touched on in other interviews, and hopefully, man, we can chop it up this weekend, man.
I want to thank you for bridging the gap.
The generations.
Same thing.
No. But the agenda though, real quick, the agenda is bridging the gap. So no, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Yeah. I apologize. Yes, the name of the podcast.
No, but you was right because through our long talk, kind of the G turned into gap.
It's not the first time. It won't be the last. It is what it is, man. But at the end of the day, you get what I'm doing, and I appreciate it.
You got good energy, bro, man. Look forward to meeting you, man.
Thank you, brother. Well, look, I'm Malak Al-Reef. You got Buddy Wikes from Intro, legendary 90s R&B hip hop group. Check those. Go back and check this self-titled project out from 1993. Intro, self-titled, New Life. You know, Mr. Wikes, Buddy got some new music dropping. We lit.
Buddy Wike, like a bike. W-I-K-E.
Buddy Wike. All right. Malak Al-Reef again. Buddy Wikes. We out of here, man. Peace. Take care.
Peace. Hit up Sonya, man. I have Sonya get in touch with you.
Okay.
Peace out.